There are 5 things about living in Colorado Springs that you may not realize as you're coming from Texas. The fact is, relocating to another state is not easy. You may have an image in your mind of how things are going to be, but when you get here, it's not what it's cracked up to be at all. And that's why in this video, I'm going to share 5 hard truths that Texans should know before they move to Colorado Springs. That way you can be fully prepared and ready for what's to come. My family recently hopped in the car and took the 13-hour road trip all the way to San Antonio, Texas. And this is what we've discovered as we were comparing different cities. Now, this video in no way is going to be knocking either city. It's just the obvious comparisons between the two and how my kids felt as we were driving through Colorado and Texas. Starting from number 5 is what you need to know about the difference in climate. When I first arrived into Texas, I can instantly feel the heat and it was all consuming. But in Colorado Springs, the heat is not as intense, and so it doesn't feel as humid as it does in Texas. And if you're from Colorado, you know that Colorado is very dry compared to especially Texas, especially San Antonio, where you're closer to more of the humidity. But trying to keep the house cool in Texas was very difficult. The air conditioning worked very hard, whereas in Colorado, it doesn't have to work as hard. Like right now, my air conditioning is not even on and it's bearable. But if I were to not have air conditioning on in Texas, it would be completely unbearable. The air conditioner was set to about 68 to 70 degrees in Texas, and it never ever got under 80. 80 was a good temperature for the house when we got in there, and you had to cover all of the windows in order to keep all of that air inside. So we didn't get that sunshine through the windows, and that's something that I love about Colorado Springs is that you can have all your windows open, and if you wanted to cool it off a little bit more, then you can obviously close them. But when you have those windows open, it lets a lot of heat in, obviously with the whole greenhouse effect. But in Colorado, that is something that we can do. But it's something that I did learn coming back home, was to make sure that the curtains are closed when it gets too hot, because here in the Springs, Colorado Springs, utilities will incentivize you if you turn off your air conditioning during the rush hours that is like late in the afternoon. We've been participating in that to help conserve energy, but it's something that I didn't even think about. Now that I'm here, it's definitely a tip for being a Coloradan. The other thing that I noticed about San Antonio was it was always cloudy, and coming from a place like Colorado Springs, there's always sunshine, and every day, I want to say most days of the year, there's going to be sunshine. So I did learn to appreciate the sunshine coming back to Colorado. But every single day in San Antonio, the clouds were kind of foggy, and I don't know if it was smog. When I talked to my brother who lives out there in San Antonio, he said that it was coming from another location, and I honestly don't remember where that was. Maybe if you do know, maybe you can drop that in the comments. That way it can, explain away why there's so many clouds in the sky. So I'm sure going to Texas in June is probably the worst idea that anyone has ever thought of, but it was really the only time that we can go, and I may have a different perspective if I were to go during the wintertime. Number 4 is the cost of living. Now, when I first got to Texas, I kind of felt like everything was a lot cheaper. We went to HEB and everything felt like it was way cheaper than Colorado Springs. In fact, I felt like our dollar went a lot further, even though I didn't compare prices exactly to the penny, but there were a lot of coupons and I felt like some of the prices there were just more affordable. Now, I don't know what the comparison is from HEB to say like a King Soopers. King Soopers sometimes here in Colorado Springs is our grocery store. First of all, it's not as big as HEB by any means. Our stores were a fraction of the size, and I know everything in Texas is pretty big, so we knew that going in, but the grocery store experience was actually a really good one. It wasn't packed. I mean, there were a lot of people there, but it wasn't like there were so many people where you couldn't walk through the aisles like it is here in Colorado Springs. So that was something that I really liked. And just having those coupons available without having to download anything or, clip a coupon, it was just right there on the rack, and we were able to just take one of those coupons and take it to the register. And I thought that was really neat experience. When it came to the gas prices, those were pretty much the same comparatively between the both cities. So don't have a whole lot to say about the gas prices, but going out to restaurants, that seemed like it was about maybe slightly less. It didn't feel as bad. Like in Colorado Springs, when we were leaving, we stopped at McDonald's, and listen, we junked out on this trip. So you can judge me all you want for all the snacks and the candies, but when you go on a road trip, like that is something that is supposed to be super fun. And so we pigged out and we ate all the bad things. So we normally don't do that kind of thing, but I just thought it would be fun for the kids. And when we left, we all got McDonald's and we just got cheeseburgers. Nothing fancy. We just got a bunch of cheeseburgers so that we can eat it on the road, and maybe 3 large fries. And I don't think we even got drinks. I don't think we did, but it came out to $63, and it was not as expensive when we went to some of the fast food restaurants. The fast food was a lot cheaper in Texas. That was pretty nice. It seemed like the rental prices were pretty on par for what we've got here in Colorado Springs. That leads me into number 3, which is housing. And when I compared our housing to San Antonio's housing, and even factoring their high property taxes out there in Texas, let's just say the difference is $2,500 in Texas compared to the Springs, and you add that to the 30-year mortgage, then you're looking at about $75,000 in taxes alone. Now, most people don't stay in their homes that long for the full 30 years, or hopefully you're having it paid off a lot sooner than that. But even with that amount in taxes, you're looking at $75,000. That is still going to be a lot cheaper than the median home price in Colorado Springs, which is around $475,000. So you buy a home around $250,000 to $300,000 in Texas, and you do pay the additional taxes. That's assuming there's only $2,500 more. It could be a lot more depending on the house that you buy. I've seen taxes all the way up to $10,000 over there. Now, I hope people don't misunderstand me when I talk about number 2, which is the people and how the people were there in Texas. I honestly was surprised at how friendly people were. It literally took me by surprise. I was getting a drive-through car wash, and the gal that was there working the station, she was very friendly, and she was actually joking with me, but I could not pick up what was happening. She was asking me a question and I could not figure out. She was making a joke about having my husband pay for my car wash. I'm like, well, yeah, it's his car too. But I just thought it was so funny. And because I didn't realize that she was just trying to be friendly, I'm so used to just getting through the car wash and not talking to anybody. Here in Colorado Springs, when you go to the car wash, they literally just would give you a wave. I have a membership, so they don't even come to the car. They just wave me on through. And so that was interesting. We were also at another store where people just talk to each other and standing in line. I'm not used to that. It just threw us off, where people just start talking to you, having a friendly conversation. And that was really different. So not to say that Springs is rude. I think we're just kind of all in our own zone, but I was literally taken aback by the friendliness there in Texas. When it comes to things to do, San Antonio definitely had way more fun things to do. We have a lot of things to do here in Colorado Springs. Most of it's a lot more naturey and not as much shopping. Like, we spent hours and hours at the mall. We also went to the Riverwalk, and the pricing was pretty affordable for a family of 7. So I definitely give it to Texas for having more fun things to do in the area. But when it came to restaurants and the food, a lot of people say that Texas has the best food, but when I went, that was not my experience at all. I feel like Colorado Springs has better food, but again, it's probably something that I'm just more used to here, and I think that our food is better than Texas. Would love to hear you guys weigh in on that, because I know a lot of people would disagree. But most people still don't know enough about living in Colorado Springs to feel comfortable. So check out this video where I show you all the pros and cons about living in Colorado Springs.